It's official, Ukraine's at war. What we've all suspected for quite some time was confirmed earlier this week by the Polish Prime Minister.
Nikt już poważnie nie może przyjmować informacji o separatystach na Ukrainie.
The Russian move has been condemned by world leaders and the UN Security Council.
There's absolutely no doubt about Russian direct invasion into Ukraine.
But no one seems to be doing anything about it, with US President Barack Obama threatening consequences, but not elaborating.
There is no doubt that this is not a homegrown indigenous uprising in eastern Ukraine. The separatists are backed, trained, armed, financed by Russia.
So where exactly are the Russian troops, and what's been happening in the last week that's changed things? As President Putin met with his Ukrainian counterpart Petro Poroshenko in Minsk yesterday for the first time in 3 months, it seemed Putin was saying one thing and doing another. 2 columns of Russian tanks and military vehicles are said to have fired at a border post before entering southeastern Ukraine. The Russian forces entered the region, which was seized by separatists earlier in the week. They now control Novosibirsk, where a Ukrainian company commander, Vladimir Shirov, said that he heard citizens inside the town were being barricaded in by tanks and no one has been allowed in or out. They are also trying to take over Mariupol, a port city on the Azov Sea, but the Ukrainian troops have so far managed to keep the rebel forces out. It's believed Russian forces also intend to launch attacks on Ilvovsk and Shakhtarsk, east of Donetsk. Poroshenko cancelled a trip to Turkey and called an emergency meeting after the Russian military invasion for the country's Security and Defense Council to decide the next steps. NATO released images showing over 1,000 Russian soldiers inside Ukraine, and a NATO official said troops have been in direct contact with Ukrainian forces, resulting in casualties. Russian state television has reported that serving Russian soldiers on leave from their posts were fighting Ukrainian troops alongside the rebels. Ukrainian military released a video of 4 men said to be Russian paratroopers who had crossed the Ukrainian border by accident. Earlier this week, Britain's General Sir Richard Sheriff, who was a NATO Deputy Supreme Commander, said Western Europe would not be able to defend itself against Russian intervention because of the progressive dismantling of military capability. Sheriff warned NATO to rearm if it was serious about defending itself in the future. Russia denies arming the rebels or sending tanks into Ukraine, saying that any armored vehicles the separatists are using must have been taken from the Ukrainian army itself. Flags associated with the separatists have been spotted on the tanks, and vehicles have green features which are traditionally associated with separatists. Ukraine's Prime Minister said Putin has deliberately unleashed a war in Europe. He also called for the US, Europe, and G7 countries to freeze Russian assets and finances until Russia withdraws armed forces, equipment, and agents. Ukrainian military said 100 tanks, armoured vehicles and rocket launchers were seen travelling near Telmanov, 80 kilometres south of Donetsk and 20 kilometres from the Russian border. The convoy includes at least 3 T-72B1 main battle tanks and a T-72 tank with Contact 5 explosive reactive armour, or T-72BM as known in the West. This makes us believe that Russia is indeed supplying the separatists with arms. The Prime Minister of Donetsk, the self-declared People's Republic, said 3,000 to 4,000 Russian citizens are gone to Ukraine to fight because they felt it is their duty and rebels would struggle without them. Russia has also sent in its newest air defense systems, including the SA-22, which has a range of up to 20 kilometers. Russian soldiers have been posting on social media sites of their involvement in the intervention. 2,100 lives have been lost as a result of the ongoing conflict since April, with 951 civilians killed in Donetsk alone. Over 155,000 people have fled elsewhere in Ukraine, with another 188,000 leaving for Russia. Ukraine has lost 750 kilometers of coastline in Crimea, a naval port and mineral rights in the Black Sea. Crimea has 250 kilometers of coastline, and if it was seized by Russia, Ukraine would only have 450 kilometers of coastline left to the west of Crimea. Russia would gain control of the Azov Sea and other offshore gas and oil reserves as a result. Ukraine and Russia had agreed to share information between Russian and Ukrainian guards at the border, and Poroshenko had promised a ceasefire plan with Russia after his talks with Putin to defuse the separatist conflict. But now only time will tell if that's going to come to light. Hit subscribe now if you want to see more videos like this in the future.